Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to Raleigh, North Carolina. I hope I said that right. But we've got the GM Triple H making his way out on the first episode of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, Triple H got some news for the WWE Universe. Obviously, the draft took place not long ago from both Raw and AAA, but now it's time to kick off the very first episode of Monday Night Raw properly. We've got some news as well, because obviously Money in the Bank is going to be our first pay-per-view. So obviously we've got some qualifiers to take place during tonight's show for both the men and the women, but and obviously the next shows as well. But we've also got some championships that will probably need to be decided what happens with those, as we've got some vacant championships to crown, and I'm guessing some of them will be crowned at Money in the Bank. But it's a new era in the WWE, as Triple H would say. We've seen nothing yet. We've heard that loads of times. Now we've got to see what Triple H can actually do. Can he actually back up words? Well, we're going to hear from the man himself in just moments away. Obviously, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to this episode. I hope you can all get behind the new series that we're starting. Obviously, this is the start of the duo universe I'm doing with my other friend. So he will be taking control of AAA, who has The Undertaker as his GM as well. If you haven't seen that, pop down and watch both draft nights if you can. That'll pick you up to speed on what the rosters are and for both shows. Well, Triple H says, welcome to the new era. Welcome to Monday Night Raw. Triple H saying that there's going to be some qualifiers for both the men and women starting tonight. But well, not just that. They can look forward to the Penta, who will be the Intercontinental Champion, will be hosting an open challenge tonight as well. Now you may be wondering, what all about the Women's Championship and what about the Undisputed WWE Championship? Well, those will be determined at Money in the Bank, so they will be crowned champions then. So obviously there will be a fatal four-way for the Undisputed WWE Championship, which will contain of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Drew McIntyre, as well as CM Punk. And obviously the WWE Women's Championship will be crowned in a TLC match at Money in the Bank, which will contain of Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and some others that will be confirmed later on. Well, obviously Triple H also issuing a warning to AAA that WWE will come out on top this year. We'll have to wait and see about that. Hopefully he is right, because there's a lot to prove here. But we're starting off with a Money in the Bank qualifier. Obviously these matches will be triple threats.
The following contest is a triple threat match. Making his way to the ring from Los Angeles, California, weighing in at 240 pounds,
LA Knight, one of the first competitors out in this ring. He'll be facing Carmelo and Ilja Dragunov in this qualifying match. So what a match to begin Monday Night Raw with. Can this man finally get his hands on the Money in the Bank that he truly wants? Because obviously that will change the future of this man, as he wants that main event spot. He wants that world title that he's been itching for so long. Obviously he's a former two-time United States champion in the past too, so obviously LA Knight wants to become a world champion now. But he's got competition with the likes of this guy.
And his opponents, first from Boston, Massachusetts.
Obviously Carmelo, former two-time United States champion. Carmelo Hayes has basically said to everyone that he wants to get that Money in the Bank briefcase because he thinks that is the next step in his career on the main roster, of course. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes is one of the most talented superstars on the Raw roster, and obviously there's no surprise that he is a former United States champion too. Similar to LA Knight, but obviously the sky's the limit for Carmelo Hayes. Obviously he'll be targeting having World Championship glory further down the line. But what's Melo going to do on the red brand? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Because obviously there's another guy that wants to prove himself, who was also a former United States champion in the past too. Ilja Dragunov, the Mad Dragon. A tough opponent for anyone on any given day. Obviously he wants that spotlight, he wants to prove he can hang with the best.
And from Moscow, Russia, weighing in at 210 pounds, Ilja Dragunov.
While you wait for Ilja Dragunov to make his way down to the ring, obviously, yes, there'll be a fatal four-way at Money in the Bank for Undisputed WWE Championship, which will contain of Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Roman Reigns. Yes, you've heard it here. 4 big superstars will be competing for the vacant Undisputed WWE Championship. Obviously, Rhea Ripley and Nia Sky are going to be part of the TLC 5-woman TLC match for the vacant WWE Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. Obviously, the other women yet to be confirmed. We've got a tag team championship match tonight as well. It'll be a triple threat Tornado tag match that will contain of Division, which will be Logan Paul and Austin Theory, the Street Profits and the Usos all competing for the vacant WWE Tag Team Championship. And then of course we have Penta, who is the Intercontinental Champion, will be hosting an open challenge for his championship later tonight as well. So there's a lot of action here on the first episode. We're about to get underway as well. So yeah, I will see you guys after this match and hope you enjoy this first Money in the Bank qualifier triple threat. LA Knight is the first man advancing to the Money in the Bank ladder match. What a match this was between three former NXT superstars. I felt like there was some hesitant moments between some of them, including Ilja Dragunov, who could have potentially been the man to advance himself, but it was LA Knight who came out on top, which is probably fair, probably right as well, because obviously LA Knight is a true veteran and there's still a lot of time for Carmelo and Ilja Dragunov to grow, but obviously they're very good themselves. LA Knight, this will mean so much to LA Knight. Hopefully this is the year LA Knight finally gets his hands on the briefcase and cements the destiny that awaits. Well done to LA Knight, kicking off Monday Night Raw in style. I think the fans are very happy to see this man advance in the next round of Money in the Bank. Oh no, Bron Breakker is on his way to the ring. It looks like he's got some words he wants to tell the WWE Universe. Obviously Bron Breakker is part of the vision. Bron Breakker says that he's actually disgusted that he's not being included in that fatal four-way for the undisputed WWE Championship. He believes that CM Punk, the old man CM Punk, or Roman Reigns should not be in this match. It should be him in this match. Well, one of the challengers that's going to be in that match looks like he wants to say something to Bron Breakker. Seth Rollins tells Bron to shut up and deal with it. Of course, Seth Rollins is telling Bron Breakker that instead of whining about it, how about try and earn his way into these title matches. He says that Bron Breakker's still got a lot to prove since being on the main roster. Obviously he acknowledges him that he has been a former two-time Intercontinental champion, but it looks like Bron Breakker is not willing to discuss more anything else with Seth freaking Rollins. I think Bron Breakker's just annoyed that he's not part of the match and he can't help but listen to any more what Seth Rollins has to say. Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins now brawling inside the ring. No security, nothing to break this up. I can understand why Bron Breakker would be so annoyed not being included in that fatal four-way, but I must say the names that are included, it's a very heavy hitting match. Obviously all former world champions as well. But what makes it interesting about that match, that Money in the Bank, is that there's four people that absolutely hate one another. So what that's going to be a very interesting match, and whoever walks out the WWE champion, it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. But Seth Rollins goes for the curse stomp. Takes out Bron Breakker. What a very chaotic start to Monday Night Raw this has been. Also, we've had LA Knight advance in the first qualifier match so far.
Is an open challenge. That is for the WWE Intercontinental Championship.
Hope you guys enjoying the episode so far. But we have an Intercontinental Championship match on the way. And no better way than to see Penta in action. Of course, he is the Intercontinental Champion as well, getting into this universe mode. Being split from his brother Rey Fenix, who has gone over to AAA. He's all on his own now in the WWE. Left for him to prove what he can do. Obviously Penta is a very exciting luchador. And has took to WWE by storm ever since he's debuted. probably say a fan favourite as well. This is a lot of matches that will be exciting to see this guy in action against. But obviously he's the Intercontinental Champion, so obviously let's see how he can do in these matches. Obviously once you're a champion, there's a lot of pressure to try and defend that championship whenever that moment comes, and obviously this is the moment has come now. See, Penta's telling anyone in the back to step up and face him for his championship right now. So who's going to answer the open challenge? Oh my goodness! AJ Styles is the man that's going to answer the open challenge, and it looks like Penta is acknowledging this match. I am shocked about this one. I was not expecting AJ Styles to pop up here tonight. He's not even on the Raw roster, I don't think. He wasn't drafted in the draft, so is this a free agent signing that Triple H has made since the draft? If it is, what a signing this is to Monday Night Raw. Wow, you know, what a way to answer Penta's open challenge. I think it's took everyone by surprise. We're not expecting to see AJ Styles turn up at all. Oh, so we haven't got confirmation yet if he is part of the Raw roster now, but I'm pretty sure this must have something to do with it if he has answered this challenge. But it looks like we're about to have Penta versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. What another match we're about to witness. Going back to Bron Breakker though, I must say, I can understand his frustrations not being included in that Fatal 4-Way, but I must admit that there's still opportunity for him going forward. Obviously, there's the Money in the Bank qualifying match is still yet to be decided.
The challenger from Gainesville, Georgia, weighing in at 200.
So obviously, Bron Breakker could try and get his hands on the briefcase if he manages to qualify, if he does compete in a qualifying match, that is. But obviously, Bron Breakker is one of the future superstars going forward, so there's plenty of time for him to be a world champion again. Well, just like the last match, guys, Penta versus AJ Styles is underway, and I'll see you guys after the match. Enjoy. Well, Penta has successfully retained the Intercontinental Championship, just like that.
WWE Intercontinental.
I think that's took AJ Styles by surprise with that Mexican Destroyer that he just did. But Penta remains the Intercontinental Champion on AJ Styles' shock appearance, opening that challenge. So I must admit, surprised to see AJ Styles go down so easily like that. We'll have to find some more updates about the future of AJ Styles in the coming weeks. Hopefully we'll find that out as soon as possible. Well, I've had confirmation, guys, that in tonight's main event we're going to have Seth Rollins versus Bron after their interaction earlier on. So what a main event we have tonight.
The following contest is a triple threat match. Making her way to the ring from Dublin, Ireland, Lyra.
Now we have ourselves the first women's Money in the Bank qualifier match. Another triple threat match in store, which will contain Lyra, Valkyria, Giulia, and debuting Blake Monroe, all competing for a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women. Obviously, there's 3 slots for both Raw and AAA in these both matches, so it'll be 3 from Monday Night Raw and 3 from AAA in both the men and the women's matches, of course. So obviously, these 3 qualifying matches for both men and the women are vital for these superstars to try and claim their spot now. Here comes the beautiful madness, Giulia, making her way to the ring.
And her opponents.
Former 2-time United States champion. Who should definitely will be one of the favourites maybe to qualify in this match. Of course, she's a former 2-time United States champion, but then Lyra Valkyria has been a former Intercontinental champion and tag team champion as well, so there's a lot of former champions in these matches. Obviously Blake Monroe has been a former North American women's champion from NXT, so obviously she's probably the least experienced superstar in this match. But about to witness another, hopefully, quality matchup here tonight. And we're still not done yet because we've got a tag team Tonaldo triple threat Tonaldo tag for the WWE Tag Team Championships, and then Seth versus Bron in the main event. So we've still got 2 huge matchups to show as well tonight. And Glamour is turning up on Monday Night Raw. So glad that Triple H has been able to secure the services of Blake Monroe. There'll be no better way than to add a little bit of glamour to the Money in the Bank ladder match, and hopefully we get to see that here tonight, as that'll be a very great way to debut on Monday Night Raw for Blake Monroe. Of course, AAA is taking part in the Money in the Bank matches, so which is going to cause a little bit of confusion to everyone, and obviously I think Triple H is a bit shocked that Undertaker wants AAA to be part of WWE events. What that means, if one of those AAA superstars get their hands in the briefcase, I don't know what happens then. We'll have to find out more about that. Of course, we're about to get underway in the first women's qualifying matchup. Enjoy the match, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you guys after the match. What the hell? Lyra Valkyria just pinned Blake Monroe to qualify for the women's Money in the Bank match, but I'm surprised by the ending, I must admit. I can't believe that's all it took to knock off Blake. But then again, she did take that brutal move from Giulia. Congratulations to Lyra Valkyria, though. Nonetheless, obviously Blake Monroe disappointing to take the pinfall in the debut, but someone had to, I guess. Now we move on with Rhea Ripley, about to speak to the WWE Universe. Rhea says that she is eager and desperate to get her hands on the vacant WWE Women's Championship. She says that Money in the Bank is going to be the night where everyone in that 5-woman match is going to experience the brutality. Of course, Rhea acknowledges that her friend Io Sky will be in this match, but obviously when it comes to Money in the Bank, they have to put their friendship aside as she looks to become a world champion yet again and lead the women's division. Oh, it looks like Io Sky has something to say herself. Io Sky is saying, I know Rhea that we're friends, and she loves Rhea so much. But nonetheless, despite that we are friends, we have to put our friendship aside, as I also have ambitions myself to become a world champion yet again. But also, she's also challenging Rhea Ripley to a match next week, and Rhea Ripley accepts. So we're going to have Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky 1-on-1 next week on Monday Night Raw. A little preview for Money in the Bank, but obviously there's some more competitors to be announced in that match too, so interesting. What a match confirmed for next week now, I must admit. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley looking to get the advantage going into that match as well and build a bit of momentum. We're now heading into the vacant tag team championship matchup we've got here tonight, as the Vision make their way to the ring. Well, despite Bron Breakker not being in one of these championship matches, hopefully his partners in the Vision can get the job done and bring some gold to the Vision.
Team Championship on their way to the ring, and a combined weight of
But a tough task ahead, as they've got 2 other fantastic tag teams ahead of them that they've got to overcome to try and get their hands on that championship gold. But with the guidance of Bron Breakker, Bronson, Reed and Paul Heyman, these men must be confident going into this championship match that they can become tag team champions here tonight. But nonetheless, we need to have a great team as the champions, especially with AAA, because obviously I can see that AAA will probably have some big champions crowned, I'm guessing. Obviously if WWE wants to compete with AAA or vice versa, they need to make some big statements and crown some big champions. But the Street Profits are no strangers to being champions. Obviously they are former tag team champions from both Raw and SmackDown. They've actually had their hands on these championships before, so they could be one of the favourites to go get their hands on the championship gold. But then again, with Jey Uso and Jey and Jimmy Uso being one of the best tag teams when the Bloodline ruled the WWE, you have to say that the Usos will be the favourites in this match. But the energy and passion from the Street Profits are always there. You've got to admire that. Obviously, people say that Montez Ford should be a singles champion, but he's still looking to win things with his brother Angelo Dawkins. Oh my! This is a throwback. I was not expecting this from the Usos. I'd like to know what the reason behind this is. A blast from the past.
Let's go!
What an entrance by the Usos.
493 pounds. The team up.
Jimmy and Jay have some new energy. Using an iconic entrance from the past. Going into this championship matchup. Probably trying to show that they are still the best tag team in the world. I like the energy that they've showed going into this match. They obviously care and obviously want those championship gold again. Of course, we've seen Jey Uso had a solos run in the past, so obviously it's nice to see that he wants to tag with his brother again. Obviously, we're now underway, ladies and gentlemen, in this triple threat tag team championship matchup. I'll see you guys after the match and see who walks out as the new tag team champions. Oh my! The Usos just become the WWE Tag Team Champions just like that. I don't know if Montez Ford is knocked out cold after Jimmy Uso just basically hit him with a bat, I'm guessing. Well, I mean, Montez Ford was in the corner, dazed after that super kick by Jimmy, but then he also hit him with a bat, which led to Montez Ford taking the pinfall.
Here are your winners.
But Jimmy Uso just won the tag team championships for the Usos. Well, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Jey Uso all fighting ringside. Well, the Usos are back on top of the tag team division like they probably planned all along. They're showing a little bit of different attitude now that they've won it, though, I must say. Different energy from the entrance. I don't know about that one, guys. I don't know if the Usos tricked everyone into thinking there may be different people, but looks like they're going back to their old tricks to be on top again. I mean, who could blame them if they want to be on top of the mountain yet again? Obviously, there was a very short match. I was expecting it to be a little bit longer than that. I don't know if you know, Logan, Austin, and Jey were expecting it to end that quickly.
Scheduled for one fall, making his way.
Now we've got the main event of the evening.
Bronson representing the Vision from Woodstock, Georgia.
Bronson Reed, company Bron Breakker for this main event. I don't feel like that's a great idea, and it's not good for Seth Rollins that Bron Breakker has Bronson Reed by his side. I was expecting Bron Breakker to at least come out alone to face Seth Rollins, but look, clearly backup is in store. I don't think Bron Breakker really needs backup by any means. But this is division we're talking about. Maybe this is a demand from Paul Heyman, who's not here tonight. But I'm really looking forward to seeing who comes out on top in this main event on the first episode of Monday Night Raw in this universe mode. I hope you're ready for the main event, Raleigh, North Carolina. We've had so much stacked action here tonight. As we've got our first man and woman qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Obviously, Penta retained the Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles, who's surprised us all by turning up, and then also the Usos becoming the new WWE Tag Team Champions.
From Davenport, Iowa, weighing in at 225 pounds, Seth
Obviously, there's a lot more stacked action to come in the next shows as well, ladies and gentlemen, because we are continuing with the Money in the Bank qualifying matches in the next episode as well. And then the show after that will be the same. But we've also got confirmation that the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, will be in the building next week as well. Obviously, I think Roman Reigns will have something to say to the WWE Universe, and obviously to his challengers that he'll face at Money in the Bank, as he's probably going to look to reclaim that WWE Championship that he had his hands on for so long in the past. But we're about to kick off the main event of the evening, guys. So here's Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker, and I'll see you guys after the match. Seth freaking Rollins picks up the huge win in tonight's main event. I honestly thought there was going to be disqualification in this match after there's numerous interferences by Bronson Reed, especially at the start of the match with that steel chair attempt to take out Seth Rollins, but obviously backfired on Bron Breakker. Of course, both men going to war and beating the hell of each other in tonight's main event. And Seth Rollins walks out as the winner. But Bron Breakker definitely showed a lot of heart tonight. And he's obviously one of the toughest superstars on the roster, but obviously there's no surprise that this man, Seth Rollins, walks out as the victorious. And obviously Bronson Reed got his fate sealed after being sent away by Rod Zapata towards the end. Momentum building for Seth Rollins from Money in the Bank, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for the first episode. Obviously, the next one will be AAA. Let's see what they can cook up there. See what Undertaker has in store. And obviously, I'll see you guys for the next episode of Monday Night Raw. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.